Hey everyone, welcome to my dev vlog. So today I'm going to be kind of walking through some updates with uh, Hyrokin Prime 2. You can see it's got a bit of a pre-recorded deal here. Um, my voice itself is being recorded over video of me doing the work, and I'm just going to kind of talk about what has been going on and what we've been working on with it. Um, Probably here later on I'll do another one on um Ultimate Poe. I think I'm gonna be planning on getting that one built up at least the first couple levels, and I am gonna be crowdfunding that one. Um, Probably on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Um, Not sure which one yet. Uh, but yeah, and then this one though, Heroic Prime, is gonna go straight to mobile. When it drops. It'll end up being $1.49 and going from there. Um, so, all right, let's get started. Got a fancy little logo here. Just to talk about what Hyrokin Prime is, it's a sequel to, obviously, to Hyrokin Prime, since there's Hyrokin Prime and now there's this Hyrokin Prime 2. Um, but this one, I did something a little different. Um, it, This one still has space levels, just like Hyrokin Prime 1 did, uh, but they're first person view space levels. So you as the player, you're in the cockpit, flying around, shooting the enemy spaceships and dodging asteroids or shooting them themselves. Um, One of the challenges I had in the beginning was getting the power-ups to work in that type of environment. So I changed the code around and got that working. And then I added a um, third person on ground level, uh, action type level, basically. Um, so you have that aspect as well going forwards in it. Um, so there's that. Uh, I did not, I would be lying if I said I modeled everything in this game. Uh, I definitely did utilize my resources in in this case, and some of those being assets from the Unity store. Obviously, everybody that I purchased assets from will be properly credited. Um, the sound itself is getting and music is coming from Sound Image from Eric Mataya over there on Sound Image. So uh, an early and ahead of time shout out to him um, for having that going. And so now we got our fade in and our fade out, and we see some things moving around. So right here off the bat, what you see is I'm talking about the levels here, or not talking because I'm talking now, the animations. And so these animations are directly from, we're not part of this character. This character itself has, that I got from the um, asset store and usually had two different rigs built in. One of them is and two different types of animations. One using mechanic and one using legacy animations. Um, what I ended up doing is actually going to taking the rig and going to mixamo.com. And so if I click here, because it's already in my favorites, or at least my most recent visited history, and so you see the characters already in there. Obviously, it was imported without the textures, but if you just go here to upload character, you can upload any FBX, zip file, or OBJ. If it does not already have a rig, there's a pretty easy um, rig setup wizard that Mixamo will do for you here in game um, works amazing in Unity. There's a few extra steps that need to be done outside of Mixamo if you want to do this to a character and use them in Unreal. But if you guys want to know that, just hit me up in the comments and let me know, and I'll do a video on that. But basically, once you upload your character, you can just select any um, animation, and it will bind it to the character. And then once you find one that you like, and you can mess with the settings here a little bit. Um, for example, if his arm was sinking into his leg right here, nothing you can really do for the guy, but if the arm was, then you could adjust the arm space, and that'll raise the arm up as far as position wise in here. But then you just download it and select your settings. I usually just keep everything the normal 30 frames per second and everything else, and then hit download, and then it downloads it, and then you can basically start using it. If you download a pack, then you'll have to unzip the file, but then you just drag and drop it into your game engine of choice, and you're all set. So there's that. Now back to the video. Alright, so basically, what I ended up doing is having to create an empty game object for this character to work. Um, by going to create and then create empty or game object, then I was able to create an empty game object. I renamed it Grunk and drug this guy, this Grunk Mechanum, into it so that it became a parent of it. I haven't made this a prefab yet. I will once I finish all the animations for it. Um, but right now, that's what I was working on. It's just this character animation. Um, in this, what you'll see is the walk cycle, the idle, and then the death animation get accomplished. And then I'll do another video later with the um, attack animations and how I get that working, because this alone already became 30 minutes just for this, and now I'm pausing it and talking through it, and so it's gonna end up being a long video um, as it is. So, um, but his walk animation is gonna go through 5 of these um, points, these cubes here, and you saw I zoomed out earlier, which shows all the cube placements. These cubes represent patrol points that won't be seen in the game, but they're spots where the character will be walking to patrol. I got this random alien for reference, and so this is an alien from level 2, so I have him there in case I have any uh, issues remembering how I set things up, just because I am working on 4 different games right now, so I kind of get things mixed up as far as where I'm at, so taking notes is important. Um, as you can see, I turned off the gun and I'm messing with the mesh just to see where everything's at. You can see the 2 different rigs for the 2 different types of stuff of animation. Um, so I turned off the gun because he's not going to be shooting projectiles. He's going to be a melee combat character. I have a specific character in mind for projectiles, and he is not the one. He is not the Highlander. R.I.P. Sean Connery. Alright, so tags and layers. Changed it to enemy because otherwise my projectile that I have programmed won't actually work on him. So, uh, brief pause there so I could catch up with the talking. Apparently, I knew that I was going to be rambling during this, so yeah. So now we're going to start setting it up so we can get the walk and the idle going first by adding a nav mesh that I've already baked in prior to this. I went through and set some things up beforehand to bake a nav mesh into the character, and then went back and deleted some of the stuff minus the nav mesh. So agent, as far as the nav mesh baking. So as you saw, the nav mesh popped up in the air off center, and that's just because it was poor placement on me for the game object. So I had to do some adjusting there with the offset, and then changing the radius and the height as well. And so that's me showing, hey, I made a goof, but it really doesn't affect him. Um, so I'm not really too worried about it as far as changing it up. So I probably won't, just because again, it didn't affect anything. So if I wanted to, I could just take him and then just move him over more, like the Grunk Mechanism uh, prefab from the downloaded character. So, alright, so next I'm going to add the enemy controller script that I created. Um, it's a reusable script that I can for all of my melee characters, the enemy characters. And then I have a separate one for projectile enemies and a separate one for boss boss enemies specifically. Um, because the boss enemies in these planet levels, once they're killed, then the portal to get back to your ship will be uh, displayed on screen. So, um, in this enemy character script, if I go back and pause it, I have this patrol points that I programmed in. So the patrol point size I'm going to change to 5 because again he's going to be hitting 5 points. So changing it to 5, and then I'm going to drag the first 5 patrol points into here one at a time. But because of positioning, what you'll see in this video is that I put 5 closest to um, the enemy character here, Grunk, and so it's going to be 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he'll restart at 5. So yeah, that was the thing. Um, It's not like a huge deal. I just have to remember that. So that's why I have these guys. Oh, that might help if I put them in here. These guys, cards, index cards to write notes down like that real quickly and easily. So, all right. So I put 5 in. Now I'm gonna start adding the rest in. 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. So, um, so I'm dragging those in. I'm gonna get a drink of water. All right. So the other thing that I did is I filled these 2 spots right here, the nav mesh agent off of Grunk, the um, the Grunk parent object, and then the Grunk mechanism because that has the animator on it currently that I'm testing out went into the animator spot right here that says anim. And so I'm gonna put I put the animator controller in place as well. So the animator controller, whoops, went too far back. Let's go right there. So the Grunk mechanism. Then here's the Grunk animator controller that I'm gonna drag into the animator controller spot up here. Boom, there it is. So now this animator controller will feed the animations into the Grunk anime character. So we're going to create an empty idle, an empty new state, and rename it idle. And then once it's named, then in the grunt idle, I'm going to drag the grunt idle animation. Now, I did some tailor work ahead of time to the idle and the walk animation. I'll explain what I did when I get to to the death animation part. But because he had animations already tied to him previously, there was a little extra work that I had to do. So, but as you can see, he's idling, and because of the controller, and I put the points in there, he's already moving from one point to the next. The music itself I'm using for, this is level two's music. Um, so it's not going to be the first one that you find, or it's not going to be used in this level. I have all different types of, I have different level music for each level. So, alright, so now to get the walk animation going, I created a new state. I'm going to go ahead and drop the walk animation into here. And then I also need to start creating some transitions. So, um, basically what I'm going to do is right click and create a transition from idle to walk and then back again. But getting the one from idle to walk, because that's how we're going to get that moving, um, is first. But we're going to double check, make sure that that's on loop time, and it is. And so now that that's set up, we can go in here and I'm going to add a few frames to walk. I'm going to take out the exit time. Yeah, because it's conditional. I have this boolean right here and tells it if the moving boolean is set to true, then you're going to do this action and you're going to play this animation. And that animation is the walk animation. I'm taking off the fixed duration because I want to change how fast the transition is between these. And so I changed it to 0.2. So it's a real quick idling and then start walking motion. And I don't know why I did that, but I started just moving my feet like I was walking, and you can't even see my feet. So yeah, there was that happened. So as I'm going through with this and catching up with things, all right. So now we're back into it, and now I need to get the transition from walk back to idle. Um, there was a brief moment where Unity crashed, and so you saw just like basically me bring it back up so that it was working correctly again. And so then, boom, I drag it out, fix those right there. Um, I did forget to change the transition duration, but it doesn't actually have that big of effect at 0.6 where it's that long. I'll still put it back to 0.2 um, after this video. Is what I ended up doing. So put the transition back. Right, so now with the transition going backwards, so from walk to idle, which is when he stops at each patrol point, he's going to stop. So I turned off the exit time, fixed duration, set the transition to 0.2, um, put the, I need to put the boolean, and so I put the move boolean and change that to if is moving is set to false. And so now you see a glitch here, a bug that I have to fix. And so basically what you see is the character itself is moving. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But because the animation controller is on the prefab instead of the object, or the game object that's holding everything, um, he kind of just like left the game object behind in that instance. So if you use if you use things that aren't yours, as far as like if you buy other rigs or download a free rig or what have you that from the asset store or buy one from the asset store, make sure you play with it first and get to know it, because The alien itself is the exact opposite. The animator controller has to be on the um, the the downloaded prefab. Otherwise, the aliens won't move properly. And Grunk is the exact opposite. So what you're gonna see is to fix it, I'm going to actually take the animator controller and copy it and paste it onto the Grunk parent object, and then just turn off the animator on the Grunk Mechanim object. So, I thought about recording and doing all this live, but right now, as I'm still kind of working on getting used to this, um, I found it easier to just go ahead and um, record myself doing the work, and then I can record myself talking about the work over the video. I just, for me personally, until I get used to doing both at the same time, um, it just kind of works better. But here you can see now that I've changed where the animator is, I have to actually change excuse me, what object is going to be in this slot, in which case it's going to be the parent grunk object because the animator's right there. Try not to pause too much because the video that I'm talking over is 28 minutes long. And so, and I'm at 16 minutes in the video, and and so, with the more I pause it, then I'm adding on time to it. So, trying to keep these as short as possible. So, a funny thing that happened here, the walk looks funny and weird. It's really not. I downloaded the wrong orc walk animation from Mixamo, and so it was a female orc walk that I downloaded, and so yeah, but that's okay. There's a few issues I'll have to fix here with the nav mesh agent. I'll probably have to put it um, into the ground a little bit so that he sticks up in the air, not floats per se, but just as high enough so that his feet aren't digging into the geometry of the ground. So yeah, there's that. All right, so now that it's working for the most part, there's a few tweaks here. Uh, what I start working on now is the um, death animation, and for that I need to find the enemy health manager. And so, uh, unfortunately, I can't remember initially how I named it. So then I remembered, typed in health, and it popped up. I'm gonna give him 1 health, just that way it'll be quick and easy to kill him, just for the testing purposes. And drag in the animator object, which is Grunk, into the spot. And I'm gonna test it out, make sure that it's working. But first, I need to add a box collider, a 3D box collider, because it's a 3D game, obviously. I'm going to make it a trigger, and if I zoom in here, you'll see it popped up kind of off to the side again because of where I put the game object. So I just need to adjust it, move it up a little bit, and then figure out which way left and right is, because, yeah, that's a thing. And so I decided that negative 0.5 is a good spot, and then I'm going to increase the size to make sure that everything I shoot at it hits it. For right now, I may shorten it, but I may not. That's really not too bad or too big at 3 spots. 3 spots, or 3 units. I don't know why I said spots, but 3 units. And so here comes the test firing. So I see the joystick will work, but it's not that it's not working now. I'm using the keyboard for the arrows to move it. Alright, so everything makes contact and it dies according to how I timed it. Put the setting in the script, which the initial one is 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, the enemy object dies. So now I'm going to start working on the death cycle. Alright, so working on the death animation, basically what ended up going down is, as you see, there's only one in the idle one because the work I did before it, but here there's actually 3. This one, this is Mixamo.com, is the death animation that I downloaded with this character. So opening to edit the animation, I'm just removing these other 2 and then renaming this one so I know what animation it is, obviously. And then I'm going to apply the changes. And so yes, the loop system doesn't match, but we'll get to that. It's fine. I'm also going to reconfigure the rig itself by clearing out the mapping and then enforcing the T-pose at first, and then I realized later on that this is a bad idea, and you'll see why. So once that's all done, I click done. So everything's good. It's dark because the light's processing, which also causes Unity to crash because it's trying to do too much. I ordered RAM, just hasn't gotten here yet. It's been bouncing around Chicago area waiting to try to leave. Supposed to be here on Tuesday. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But so we got the animation for the idle, right? And so I'm going to create the state machine, not the state machine, the state animation state for the deaths. So I got that guy right there. And then I'm going to take it and drag the death animation into the state slot. So there's that going on for it. And then you see this is where I've brought it back up. You can see the lights are out there. It had already crashed, so I brought it back down. Stopped recording, brought it back down. Killed it, brought it back up. All that fun stuff. So I'm connecting everything together. And so taking out the exit time and adding the condition for the Boolean is dead right here. So so is dead will be set to true in both of these instances to get to death. Don't need a transition from death to idle or walk because he's not coming back to life. So I should have removed that as exit time, but I did it after the video. So yeah, because it doesn't need an exit time. He died. And then I say, hey, it's not working. So yeah, so now it's just troubleshooting time. And then I realize, hey, that's on. Maybe that's what's going on. And so then I'm going to go through and I'm start checking things, starting with the animations. Maybe there's something wrong with the animation itself. And so there turned out to be something wrong with the animation. Here, I've already changed it because this is post crash. So basically what it was is these were set to original and body orientation. I ended up having to change it to feet and then original. And then it's going to make me look like a liar, but then I put it back and then adjust a few other things, and then it starts working, as you'll see here in a few minutes. So So he walks, he dies, still didn't fall yet. And so that's when I start diving further into it. I change the body orientation, hit apply. It's still not going to work. And then I'm going to realize that I need to adjust the rig itself and some settings with the rig. So putting it back to original where it should have been, hit apply, and then going up to the rig. And I'm going to reconfigure it, clear it out, and then do the simple pose here. And then hit apply. And that worked until I started messing around with the code, which was fun. So, and that's only because right now he dies too quickly. As far as the character's destroyed too quickly. And so now I'm trying to figure out what else is causing it. So I go into the code. I deleted a few things because once I figured it out, I wanted it to compile and save without the changes I made to make it work so that I could do the changes for you guys. Basically, I needed to add some prefabs and a few extras to the death portion of the script for this guy in order for it to work. So I'll actually have to go back through now that I'm talking about it and adjust the enemy time. So, but I added this variable time to die, and it's a float because it's going to be going into here, and it's public, so I can fix it and adjust it in editor. And so based on the seconds I put into this variable in the editor will be how long it takes to destroy this game object. And so I'm going to start out with 5, and then I'm going to end up working my way down from there. So from here, I am adding a few things because I thought maybe adding the Boolean movement is gonna fix it. And actually didn't do anything, but I try it here by accessing it through the enemy controller because this is an instance. So enemy controller.instance.anim.set bool because the Boolean animation Boolean is inside here under the patrol code. So setting it to false because he's dead, so he doesn't need to move anymore. And then we see what happens here. I'll press play at some point. There we go. And now it's playing. I'm going to go through, let him start to move. I'm going to zoom in closer here. And then not even stop to think that, oh, he's going to go off screen by the time I get there to shoot him. So it doesn't matter anyways. So, but I shoot and nothing. Because it's failing to set the move boolean to false. So I'm going to remove that here. And I'm going to delete it from the code at some point when I remember that, oh yeah, I gotta delete it. So, but come up here and shoot him, and then you'll see Eureka moment. Nope, not yet, because it's still in the code. But he starts to die. So we're getting there. But now I need to go to the code and delete this line right here. So I just commented out. And then I deleted it later on. And so a comment will just prevent Unity from reading that as a line of code. So we're gonna try it again. And like the eighth tries the charm. I think it's actually like the third or fourth the attempt here, maybe fifth, but still. And you won't see a whole lot because, he dies by the boxes, but he does go through the whole animation. But it takes forever to die, or to destroy, so now I need to adjust it. And so that's what I do here is I adjust it and I go from 4. 4 is still a little too long to wait, so I end up stopping at 3.5. So, but that's what we've done. So I've done so far on it. I'll do another video with the animation for the um, attacking, which will probably be another 30-minute video. Um, Let me know what you guys want to see on here. If you guys want to see some coding, I can do some actual coding, run through some of the code that I used to make this game so far. Um, if you want to see anything on some environmental modeling, uh, or not environment, prop modeling, I can do that. Um, I'm still learning character modeling, just because characters have been a struggle for me. For anybody that went to college with me, they know that for sure. But this is where we're at so far on it. Um, Still got a few things to go in this level specifically, and then one more level to build and code the characters for, or set up the enemy characters for, and then get some dialogue in there, and then this will be headed to Google Play for people to enjoy. But yeah, so with that, thank you guys for those of you that watch. You guys are great that watch, and hopefully you guys are having a great time out there given the circumstances. Have a Merry Christmas, and I will see you all next time. Take care.